The mind mantra reveals the hidden reason worry has been shaping your life without your consent. As these teachings unfold, you'll feel your mind slow, your resistance dissolve, and the natural flow of abundance return. What would happen if the calm you enter now becomes the force that changes everything? The Mind Mantra. Introduction. Within the unseen rhythms of creation, there exists a subtle law that governs the movement of your life. When your mind settles into worry, it sends a tremor through this rhythm, bending the current of abundance into patterns of delay and resistance. This is not judgment, nor fate. It is the mind's vibration calling forth its own reflection. Your thoughts move like whispered mantras through the invisible field, each one carrying a tone that the universe faithfully answers. Thoughts steeped in worry speak the language of fear and limitation, and life responds in kind. This is why worry masquerades as preparation, while quietly arranging the very outcomes it seeks to prevent. The release of worry does not come through force or struggle, but through remembrance. Harmony is the universe's native state, and your life naturally flows toward balance when not interrupted by inner resistance. Just as a river knows its path without effort, your experience knows how to rise when the mind grows still. To abandon worry is to return to trust, to move from opposition to cooperation with universal intelligence. You do not deny challenge. You simply cease feeding it with fear. In this surrender, your energy lifts, and the quiet order behind all things begins to guide your path. Living by the mind. Mantra requires a shift in identity. You are not a fragment battling the current of life, but an expression of the current itself. From this awareness, worry dissolves, for the ocean does not fear its own waves. Calm is your original condition. Trust is woven into your being, learned before fear ever appeared. When you return to this inner certainty, you align with the same intelligence that turns seasons and spins galaxies. And in that alignment, creation unfolds with effortless grace. Before we get into the book, comment, "I am ready," to affirm your intention to the universe. Part 1. The Quiet Rebellion Against Fear. Chapter 1. The Soft Power of Calm. In a small village among ancient hills, Lucia spent her mornings pacing, her mind racing through countless scenarios of what might go wrong. Each dawn brought fresh worries, imagined catastrophes that consumed her energy before the day truly began. Until one morning, as sunlight streamed through her window, she noticed how the golden rays touched everything with equal grace, asking nothing in return. The universe operates through an unwavering law. What you contemplate with feeling becomes the blueprint of your experience. When you rehearse worry, you unknowingly construct the very circumstances you wish to avoid. Your thoughts are not mere whispers in the void. They are the architects of your reality, each one carrying the power to shape your path. In the same village lived Vito, whose small shoe shop had been a fixture for decades. His hands were skilled, but his mind was often turbulent with criticism and complaint. Each mistake in his craft would spark a storm of muttered grievances, and mysteriously, more errors would follow. Then something shifted. Perhaps it was the bird song that drifted through his window one spring morning, but Vito began to hum while he worked. His tools seemed to dance in harmony with his newfound melody. The leather became more pliant, the stitches more precise. Without the resistance of worry, his craft flowed naturally toward excellence. The message whispered by these tales reaches beyond their simple circumstances. Your state of being is more powerful than any amount of doing. When you release the grip of anxiety, you allow the universe's natural orchestration to unfold. Like a stream finding its course, life flows most elegantly when not obstructed by the debris of worry. Practice. As each moment of your day unfolds, pause before reacting to any situation. Take one conscious breath and whisper inwardly, "The best outcome is already aligning." Let this become your mind's constant companion. When challenges arise, rather than rehearsing potential problems, maintain your inner harmony. This simple practice transforms your vibrational signature from resistance to receptivity. Feel how your composure creates space for grace to enter, making way for solutions that worry could never conceive. Your calm confidence becomes an invitation to which the universe naturally responds. Chapter 2. The Mirror of the Mind. Through countless generations, masters of manifestation have whispered of a truth so simple yet so powerful. Your outer world reflects your inner state with perfect precision. You need only look at the patterns repeating in your life to understand the vibrations you're emanating into the universe. In a bustling marketplace, Rosa's stall overflowed with vibrant fabrics, yet chaos seemed to follow her like a shadow. Customers would quarrel, orders would tangle, and peace remained elusive. Each morning she would arrive early, her shoulders tense with anticipation of the day's inevitable disruptions. Until one dawn, as she arranged her wares, wisdom descended like morning dew. Every situation that unfolded before her was a mirror of her own inner turbulence. The law of attraction operates with mathematical precision. It must deliver experiences that match your emotional frequency. When you approach life's reflection with a racing mind, the image becomes distorted, like ripples in a pond. But when you stand before that same mirror with inner stillness, clarity emerges naturally, revealing the perfect order that always existed beneath the surface. Anthony, who tended his bakery at the edge of town, discovered this truth through the ancient art of bread-making. His loaves would emerge charred and misshapen on days when anxiety gripped his thoughts. Yet on mornings when gratitude filled his heart, for the warm sunlight, the fresh flour, the steady rhythm of kneading, the bread would rise in golden perfection. The universe responded not to his actions, but to the energy flowing through his hands. This teaching reveals itself in every moment. A calm mind creates calm circumstances. When your thoughts settle like still water, life's mirror reflects back the harmony you seek. The outer disorder that seems to plague your days is not your enemy. It is your teacher, showing you precisely where inner peace is needed. The practice of still waters. When chaos appears to surround you, pause. Close your eyes and envision your thoughts as water in a glass. Watch as the sediment of worry slowly sinks to the bottom, leaving the water crystal clear. Feel your breathing deepen as the mental waters settle. Hold this image until you sense a shift from turbulence to tranquility. Only then, open your eyes and observe how differently the situation appears through your clarified perception. This practice, performed consistently, transforms not only your vision, but the very reality that manifests before you. The universe mirrors back to you exactly what you present to it. Choose stillness and watch as harmony naturally emerges in your life's reflection. Chapter 3. The Weightless Thought. Through countless generations, masters of manifestation have whispered of a truth so simple, yet so powerful. Your outer world reflects your inner state with perfect precision. You need only look at the patterns repeating in your life to understand the vibrations you're emanating into the universe. In a small village, Gina's nights dissolved into endless spirals of what-if scenarios. Her mind, like an overworked loom, wove tapestries of future troubles until dawn broke. Each morning found her exhausted, her vitality drained by battles with phantoms that never materialized. Yet in this very depletion lay the seed of her transformation. The universal law of energy conservation reveals an often overlooked truth. What you focus upon draws from your finite well of creative force. Every moment spent rehearsing potential problems diverts power from manifesting desired outcomes. This energy, once released from worry's grip, becomes available for crafting the life you envision. Think of your thoughts as water flowing through channels. When directed toward anxiety, they carve deeper grooves of concern, making it increasingly natural for your mind to follow these familiar paths. Yet, by consciously redirecting this flow toward possibility and peace, you create new channels through which abundance naturally flows. In the sun-drenched hills of an ancient vineyard, Salvatore discovered this wisdom among his grapevines. Year after year, he watched as tangles of old growth choked the young shoots until one season, guided by intuition, he began clearing away the twisted vines. To his amazement, the freed plants burst forth with unprecedented vigor, producing the sweetest grapes of his lifetime. Nature had shown him that release creates space for renewal. Just as Salvatore's vines flourished when freed from constriction, your potential expands when liberated from worry's constraints. Each concern released creates space for new possibilities to take root and flourish. Practice the liberation of release. Find a quiet moment and settle into a comfortable position. As you breathe deeply, imagine each exhalation as a gentle wind untying invisible knots of tension within you. With every breath out, picture your thoughts lifting like feathers caught in a compassionate breeze. Feel the lightness that comes as each worry dissolves into the vast sky of possibility. Practice this whenever anxiety attempts to take hold, remembering that in releasing your grip on worry, you free your energy to attract the very blessings you seek. Chapter 4. The Choice of Focus. High in the mountains, a wise woman once shared an ancient truth with those who ventured to her dwelling. Attention flows like water, nourishing whatever ground it touches. Where you direct this precious current determines what blooms in the garden of your experience. In the bustling streets of a coastal town, Maria spent her days caught in an endless dance of concern over others' judgments. Each interaction became a performance, her genuine spirit masked behind careful words and rehearsed gestures. Her thoughts constantly swirled around imagined criticisms and perceived slights, until the weight of others' supposed opinions began to shape her every move. Yet the universe, in its infinite wisdom, whispers that attention is the most valuable currency you possess. Each moment of focus is an investment in your reality, multiplying whatever receives your mental touch. When you pour your attention into worry, you unknowingly cultivate a harvest of more concerns. When you direct it toward joy, you water the seeds of peace. This sacred law manifested clearly in the life of Rocco, whose barber shop served as more than a place for haircuts. It was a gathering spot where the town's stories intertwined. For years, his chairs collected complaints like dust, each client adding to a heavy atmosphere of dissatisfaction. Every snip of his scissors accompanied tales of workplace struggles, family tensions, and financial worries. Then one morning, as sunlight streamed through his shop windows, Rocco understood. With each customer, he began gently steering conversations toward moments of gratitude. "Tell me something good that happened this week," he would say, his scissors dancing in rhythm with their words. Gradually, the very air in his shop transformed. Laughter replaced sighs, appreciation overtook criticism, and clients left not just with renewed appearance, but with lightened spirits. The message rings clear. Your attention is magnetic, drawing more of whatever it touches. Like a master gardener choosing which plants to water, you hold the power to nurture thoughts that serve your highest good. When worry attempts to claim your focus, remember that this precious energy could instead cultivate fields of possibility. Practice for today's teaching. Select one beautiful detail in your immediate surroundings, perhaps the way sunlight plays on a wall, the rhythm of your breath, or the texture of a familiar object. Return to this detail throughout your day, especially when worry approaches. Let your attention rest there fully, as though drinking from a cool stream. Notice how this simple act begins to loosen worry's grip, allowing your natural state of calm to emerge. As you practice this gentle redirection, feel how your energy grows richer in peace, like a well-being steadily replenished. Chapter 5. The Hidden Agreement. In a small coastal village, Francesca lived haunted by the weight of worry. Each morning she would scan the horizon for storm clouds, convinced that misfortune stalked her every step. Her small bakery, though filled with the aroma of fresh bread, felt heavy with her constant anticipation of disaster. The universe operates through an unfailing principle. Your emotional signature becomes your spiritual contract. Each anxious thought serves as your signature on an agreement with struggle, while every peaceful breath rewrites those terms toward harmony. Think of your mind as a document of divine law, where every feeling inscribes the conditions of your experience. When you exist in a state of worry, you unconsciously authorize life to match that vibration. This is not punishment, but precision, the faithful execution of the terms you've set through your dominant emotional state. Like Francesca, you may have unknowingly drafted countless contracts with difficulty through persistent anxiety. Yet the power to revise these agreements lies within your next thought, your next breath, your next moment of conscious choice. Consider Johnny, whose tailoring shop once echoed with sighs of doubt. Every stitch carried the tremor of uncertainty until he discovered this truth. He began to see each thread he wove as a line of trust in the fabric of existence. His fingers, once tense with worry, now moved with the fluid grace of confidence. Each garment became not just cloth shaped by skill, but a testament to his renewed contract with life. "I now understand," he would say, running his hands along the finished seams, "that my work reflects my trust in the moment." His customers began noticing the difference. Garments that seemed to carry an essence of peace, stitched with an assurance that spoke of protection rather than fear. The wisdom reveals itself. Your emotional expectations are not mere reactions to life, but active agreements with it. When you worry, you endorse struggle. When you trust, you authorize grace. The universe responds not to your words, but to your vibration, the feeling tone that underlies your existence. This is why Gianni's work transformed when he shifted from anxiety to assurance. He didn't merely change his thoughts, he revised his spiritual contract. Practice. As you move through your day, become aware of each worried thought that crosses your mind. When you catch yourself thinking, "What if things go wrong?" Pause and consciously rewrite this contract. Replace it with, "I trust in the continuous unfolding of good in my life." When fear whispers I might fail, respond with, "I am safely guided toward success." Each rewrite serves as a new signature, authorizing a different experience. Make this gentle revision your constant practice, knowing that each peaceful thought amends your agreement with the universe toward increasing harmony. Chapter 6. The Gentle Detour. In the cobblestone streets of an ancient village, a woman named Dolores ran a small flower shop. Each morning, she would meticulously plan her deliveries, arranging them in perfect sequence. When a customer changed their order or a road closed unexpectedly, anxiety would grip her heart like frost claiming a delicate bloom. Her hands would tremble as she rearranged her schedule, convinced that any deviation spelled certain failure. The universe speaks through what appears as disruption. When your carefully crafted plans dissolve, you stand at the threshold of divine timing. Your resistance to change creates the very turbulence you wish to avoid, while acceptance reveals the hidden perfection in every apparent detour. The law of attraction responds not to your plans, but to your trust in life's unfolding wisdom. Each time you release your grip on how things should be, you allow the universe to guide you toward your highest good. What appears as interruption often serves as protection, leading you away from unseen difficulties and toward unexpected blessings. Consider Mario, whose taxi meandered through narrow city streets. For years he clutched tightly to familiar routes, his shoulders tense when traffic forced him to deviate. Each detour felt like a personal affront until one peaceful afternoon, when his usual path was blocked. Instead of fighting against it, he surrendered to the moment. As his grip loosened, he discovered a network of scenic shortcuts that transformed his entire approach to navigation. His passengers began commenting on the beauty of these alternative routes, and his income flourished as they requested him specifically for his unique journeys. Mario's story mirrors the greater truth. When you release resistance to life's redirections, you discover that the universe has been orchestrating your success all along. His surrender to the unexpected revealed pathways more magnificent than his worried mind could have planned. Sacred practice, the gratitude redirect. When plans shift unexpectedly, pause and take 3 deep breaths. With each breath, whisper, "Thank you for guiding me toward better timing." Let this become your automatic response to change. This practice transforms worry's resistance into trust's receptivity, training your mind to recognize divine orchestration in every apparent disruption. By practicing this gratitude response, you sign a new agreement with the universe, one that welcomes its infinite wisdom rather than fighting against its flow. Watch as what once appeared as obstacles reveal themselves as gateways to greater good. Chapter 7. The Breath Between Thoughts. Along a winding mountain path lived a woman named Carmela, whose days flowed like a rushing stream, swift, ceaseless, and turbulent. From sunrise to sunset she darted between tasks, gripping each moment with white-knuckled determination. Her garden withered while she planned its care, her relationships cooled while she scheduled connection, and her peace scattered like leaves in an autumn wind. The universe speaks through the language of flow, not force. When you chase control with desperate hands, it dissolves like morning mist. Yet in the spaces between doing, in the quiet moments of being, solutions bloom like flowers opening to moonlight. Your mind, like water, finds clarity not through endless stirring, but through allowing stillness to settle all that clouds your vision. Consider how nature orchestrates its symphony. Trees do not force their growth, rivers do not push their flow. The power of patience surpasses the pressure of persistence. In moments when time feels like a tightening noose, remember that stillness is not surrender but strength reimagined. In a bustling kitchen, a cook named Enzo discovered this truth through an unexpected teacher, his soup pot. Each evening, he would stir frantically, believing motion meant mastery. Until one night, exhausted, he stepped away. Upon returning, he found the broth had cleared itself, the flavors had melded in their own time, and what struggle could not accomplish, stillness had achieved effortlessly. This simple observation carries profound wisdom. Clarity emerges not from constant agitation, but from allowing natural rhythms their space to unfold. Your life, like that soup pot, doesn't require constant interference to reach its perfect state. Often, the most powerful action is no action at all. Let this truth settle into your bones. The universe responds not to your speed, but to your state of being. When worry drives you to chase solutions, pause. When anxiety pushes you to force outcomes, breathe. The answers you seek often arrive not through the front door of effort, but through the side window of surrender. Practice. Throughout your day, especially when pressure mounts, pause deliberately. Let your awareness rest gently on your breath, like a leaf floating on still water. Notice how solutions begin to surface naturally once the waters of your mind grow quiet. This simple act of conscious stillness becomes your gateway to clarity, allowing answers to emerge from the depths of peaceful attention rather than the heights of anxious action. Chapter 8. The Whisper of Allowing. In a small hillside village, a young woman named Philomena lived each day as though racing against time itself. Her fingers drummed relentlessly on tabletops, her eyes darted constantly to clocks, and her mind spun endless calculations of minutes remaining. Each task became a battle against invisible deadlines, self-imposed pressures that turned simple activities into trials of endurance. One morning, as she hurried through her garden, yanking frantically at the buds of her rose bushes in hopes of forcing them to bloom before an upcoming celebration, an ancient truth whispered through the morning air. Nature, in its infinite wisdom, moves according to its own sacred timing. No amount of force can hasten the unfoldment of a flower's petals. It opens in perfect accordance with the rhythm of life itself. The law of attraction operates with this same divine timing. Your desires manifest not through force or endless effort, but through alignment with the natural flow of universal energy. Each moment of allowing creates space for miracles to unfold organically, while resistance only delays their arrival. In the bustling marketplace, Dominic arranged his fruit stand each morning with practiced ease. While other vendors anxiously marked down their aging produce, he understood the perfection of timing. He knew that each piece of fruit contained its own wisdom about when to ripen. His customers returned again and again, drawn to the sweetness that came from fruit harvested at exactly the right moment. His patience became his prosperity. His trust in timing became his trademark. "The fruit knows when," he would say with a gentle smile, turning away offers to purchase still green peaches. And so does life. Through his story we glimpse a profound truth. Just as fruit ripens in its own perfect time, so too do the circumstances of your life. Pushing against this natural timing creates only resistance and delay. Your role is not to force outcomes, but to trust in the precise orchestration of universal timing. When you find yourself gripped by the urge to rush or force an outcome, pause. Feel the rhythm of your breath aligning with the greater rhythm of life. Let each exhale release the need to control timing. With every inhale, welcome trust in the perfect unfoldment of your desires. Practice. When eagerness transforms into strain, allow a gentle smile to soften your features. Release your grip on timing and sink into the knowing that you are supported by forces far greater than your own effort. Feel the difference between forcing and flowing, between pushing and allowing. Let each breath remind you that life's timing is impeccable, and you are always right on schedule. Chapter 9. The Smile of Faith. Through the garden that morning, an ancient wisdom whispered through the rustling leaves. You need not force what naturally unfolds. Just as flowers open in their perfect timing, so too do all possibilities bloom when given space to emerge. The core teaching reveals itself. The law of attraction responds not to urgency, but to allowance. When you release the grip of control, the universe's natural rhythm carries you toward your desires with an intelligence far greater than anxious calculation. Teresa embodied this truth. In her earlier days, she would pace endlessly, mind churning with possibilities of what might go wrong. Yet something shifted when she discovered the power of a genuine smile, not as a mask to cover worry, but as a signal of deep trust in life's unfolding. She noticed that when she smiled first, before any evidence of good outcome appeared, circumstances began arranging themselves with unexpected grace. Her smile became a declaration of faith, a quiet knowing that all was well, even before outer reality confirmed it. In the heart of the city, Pietro, who repaired timepieces with meticulous care, discovered this same principle through his craft. While others in his trade tensed their shoulders and furrowed their brows in concentration, Pietro learned to begin each repair with a gentle smile. He found that this simple act steadied not just his hands, but seemed to calm the very mechanisms he worked with. The most intricate repairs flowed smoothly when he maintained this state of peaceful certainty. Pietro's experience mirrors a profound truth. Your outer world arranges itself according to your inner state. When you smile in faith rather than grip in fear, you broadcast a frequency that attracts harmonious outcomes. This is not mere positive thinking. It is vibrational alignment with the natural flow of creation. The universe does not require your worry to function perfectly. Every star moves in its orbit without anxiety. Every seed sprouts without questioning its purpose. This same intelligence flows through your life, orchestrating circumstances for your highest good when you allow it to work unimpeded by doubt. Practice. Before each endeavor today, pause to offer a genuine smile, not as a technique, but as recognition of the perfection already unfolding. Let this smile be your first response to uncertainty, your declaration of trust before evidence appears. Notice how this shift in energy precedes positive change, naturally dissolving the mind's habit of worry. Your smile becomes both prophecy and fulfillment, a bridge between faith and manifestation. Chapter 10. The Open Palm. Through time immemorial, a simple truth has echoed. What you grasp too tightly slips away, while what you release with trust finds its way back multiplied. Isabella's tale illuminates this ageless wisdom. In the heart of an ancient city, Isabella spent her days clutching her dreams like fragile birds, afraid they would fly away if she loosened her hold. Each morning, she would write her goals with such intensity that her pen nearly tore through the paper. Each evening, she would check her progress with such scrutiny that joy itself began to wither. The harder she pushed, the more her aspirations seemed to recede into the distance, like mirages in a desert. The universe speaks in paradox. The tighter we grip, the more life resists our touch. Your desires are not meant to be captured, but invited. When you squeeze a handful of sand, it escapes through your fingers. When you open your palm, it rests there peacefully. In the quieter quarters of the city lived Carlo, whose brushstrokes once flowed from anxiety rather than inspiration. His studio walls bore witness to countless attempts to force masterpieces into being. Then came the day of rejection. His prized painting, into which he had poured months of desperate effort, was declined by the city's most prestigious gallery. In that moment of apparent defeat, Carlo did something unexpected. Instead of clinging to his disappointment, he placed the rejected canvas in his garden, letting the rain wash away its colors. As he watched his work dissolve, something dissolved within him too, the need to control art's flow. The very next morning, his brush moved with newfound freedom. Within weeks, he created a piece so authentic, so uncontrived, that collectors competed for its purchase. The law of attraction responds not to force, but to frequency. When you release the strain of making things happen, you enter the natural current of manifestation. Your role is not to construct reality through willpower, but to align with its inherent grace through trust. Practice. Find a quiet space and sit comfortably. Raise your hands before you, fingers tightly clenched. Feel the tension in each knuckle, each tendon. This is how you've been holding your desires. Now, slowly, deliberately, open your hands palm up on your lap. With each breath, imagine releasing one ambition, one worry, one need to control. Feel the relief in your fingers, your hands, your heart. This is the posture of receiving. Maintain this openness for several minutes, breathing trust into every heartbeat. Let this physical surrender teach your spirit how to remain open to life's greater possibilities. Chapter 11. The Frequency of Trust. In an ancient village between rolling hills, Nicolette spent her mornings in rigid preparation, mentally rehearsing every possible misstep. her shoulders tensed with each imagined error, her breath shallow with anticipated disappointment. Each dawn brought renewed anxiety as she gripped her tasks with white-knuckled determination. One misty morning, while watching dewdrops release from leaves, wisdom whispered through her consciousness. The droplets fell with perfect grace, requiring no effort or strain. Nature moved with an effortless precision that no amount of force could improve. The universal law stands clear. Strain creates resistance, while relaxation invites mastery. When you release the mental rehearsal of failure, your natural capabilities emerge like a flower opening to sunlight. Your innate wisdom knows the path. Tension only obscures it. In the same village lived Luigi, whose violin sang with extraordinary beauty. Students often asked how his fingers moved with such precision. "I once squeezed the strings too tight," he shared, believing pressure would produce perfection. But the music became sharp, strained. Now I tune with gentle hands and harmony flows naturally. Each evening, Luigi would sit in his garden, loosely holding his bow. As twilight settled, his music would float through the village like silk on the wind. The notes danced with an accuracy that no amount of forceful practice could achieve. His gentle touch allowed the strings to vibrate purely, creating melodies that touched hearts deeply. Luigi's approach mirrors the universe's own rhythm. When you squeeze too tight, trying to force precision, you create the very resistance that blocks your natural flow. But when you relax into trust, your inherent accuracy emerges effortlessly. The wisdom rings true. Your capacity for excellence exists already within you. Strain doesn't enhance it. Strain only conceals it. Like a clear pond disturbed by throwing stones, your natural precision becomes clouded by anxiety and force. Allow the waters to settle, and perfect reflection returns naturally. Practice. As you move through your day, notice moments when you begin to tighten against life. Feel where you hold tension, in your shoulders, your breath, your thoughts. Consciously soften those areas, remembering Luigi's gentle touch on the violin strings. Approach each task with soft attention rather than rigid focus. Trust that your natural competence will emerge more clearly through relaxation than through strain. Let each action flow from a place of ease, and watch as precision naturally aligns. Part 2. The Science of Serenity. Chapter 12. The Energy of Perspective. In a village perched on a mountainside, a young woman named Bianca lived in constant agitation. Each morning she would scrutinize every detail of her life through worry's magnifying glass. A slight change in her garden soil became an omen of failed crops. A single cloud threatened storms. The smallest criticism echoed endlessly in her mind until it drowned out all peace. The universe operates through perfect proportion, yet your focus determines how situations appear in your experience. When you stand too close to any concern, it fills your entire field of vision. Step back, and what once seemed overwhelming becomes merely a brush stroke in a greater masterpiece. Watch how your attention shapes reality. Focus narrowly on a problem, and it expands to consume your awareness. Broaden your perspective, and that same challenge shrinks to its true size. This is not dismissal of valid concerns, but rather the wisdom to see them in proper relation to the whole of life. In a valley below the village lived Vincent, whose paintings captured the soul of the landscape. Early in his career, he would press his nose against the canvas, obsessing over each imperfect line until frustration clouded his vision. One day, his brush slipped, making what he thought was a ruinous mark. In despair, he stepped back several paces, and there, in the distance, he saw how this apparent mistake actually balanced the entire composition. From that day forward, he learned to alternate between close work and distant viewing, understanding that both perspectives revealed different truths. Vincent's discovery mirrors an eternal principle. Wisdom requires space. When you feel consumed by worry, it signals the need to expand your view. Just as a bird soaring higher sees the larger pattern of the landscape, your consciousness can rise above immediate concerns to glimpse the broader design of your life. The mural of your existence is being painted with every experience, every challenge, every moment of growth. Standing too close, you might see only the rough patches. But step back and watch how each apparent flaw contributes to a masterpiece of transformation. Practice. When anxiety begins to overwhelm you, imagine floating gently upward, as though rising on a warm current of air. From this elevated perspective, observe how your current concern fits into the larger canvas of your life. Notice the beauty being woven through even the challenging patterns. Let your awareness expand until worry becomes a small detail in an infinitely larger composition of grace. Hold this broader view until you feel your breath deepen and your spirit settle into natural calm. Chapter 13. The Flow Beyond Control. High in an ancient mountain village, a woman rose before dawn each morning to meticulously plan her day. With quill and parchment, she would outline every moment, believing control meant success. Yet as she gripped tighter to her schedules, joy slipped through her fingers like water. The rhythm of life moves with a wisdom beyond human planning. When you release the need to orchestrate every detail, you align with currents of possibility far greater than individual effort could achieve. This truth reveals itself in the gentle unfolding of flowers, the migration of birds, and the changing of seasons, none requiring force, all flowing in perfect sequence. Your role in creation is not to dominate circumstances, but to dance with them. The universe operates through harmonious coordination, not through rigid control. Each time you surrender your grip on outcomes, you allow higher intelligence to guide your path. This is not passive resignation, but active trust in the organizing power that arranges galaxies and guides rivers to the sea. Along the Mediterranean coast, Giorgio earned his living guiding boats through challenging waters. In his youth, he would fight against strong currents, exhausting himself and his passengers with constant correction. One dawn, watching seabirds glide effortlessly on air currents, he gained wisdom. He began working with the water's flow instead of against it, using the current's power rather than battling it. His journeys became smoother, faster, and more peaceful, all through allowing rather than forcing. The law of attraction responds not to struggled effort, but to aligned energy. When you cease attempting to control every variable, you open yourself to solutions beyond imagination. Like a leaf carried by a stream, you move faster by releasing resistance than by thrashing against the flow. Giorgio's story mirrors the choice you face each day, to exhaust yourself fighting universal currents, or to trust their guidance. His discovery that surrender creates greater progress than struggle offers a profound truth. The universe knows the most efficient path to your desires. Practice the river of trust. Find a quiet moment today when you feel yourself forcing progress or gripping tightly to plans. Close your eyes and imagine releasing your grasp on circumstances like a boat untethered from dock. Feel the relief in your body as you trust unseen currents to guide events in perfect order. Let this sensation of surrender remind you that the universe orchestrates countless details in every moment without your supervision. As you move through your day, notice how releasing control allows life to unfold with unexpected grace and efficiency. Before we get into the next chapter, you can download a free ebook version of this audiobook using the link in the pinned comment below this video. Chapter 14. The Quiet Reward. In a small coastal town, a woman spent each evening at her window, watching waves dance with moonlight. Her days brimmed with achievement, yet satisfaction eluded her grasp. She yearned for recognition, measuring her worth through others' approval, until the sea itself whispered wisdom. The greatest triumph lies not in external validation, but in the quiet victory of maintaining inner harmony. When you align with universal rhythm, each peaceful breath becomes its own celebration. This truth illuminates the path beyond the endless chase for acknowledgement. Peace itself stands as both the journey and destination. The law of attraction responds to your inner state, not to outer accomplishments. When you recognize serenity as the ultimate achievement, external success flows naturally from this foundation. Your calm presence creates ripples of harmony that touch countless shores, though you may never witness their full reach. In moments of deepest alignment, you need no audience to confirm your worth. Like a star that shines regardless of who gazes upward, your inner light radiates independent of recognition. This understanding liberates you from the exhausting pursuit of validation, allowing natural abundance to flow through unblocked channels. In a grand concert hall, Ronaldo discovered this truth through his piano. Night after night, he practiced alone, his music echoing through empty seats. Initially, he longed for audiences to witness his artistry, yet as his fingers danced across keys in solitude, he began experiencing something profound, the pure joy of alignment with melody itself. He realized that his most magnificent performances occurred when no one watched, when he played simply for the harmony between his heart and the music. This mirrors your own journey. The universe already celebrates your alignment with its rhythm. Each moment of maintained peace represents mastery beyond any external measure. Like Ronaldo at his piano, your greatest performances often unfold in private moments when you choose serenity over worry. The warmth of inner peace provides deeper satisfaction than any applause. When you truly understand this, external recognition becomes a gentle echo of what you already know, that your calm presence itself enriches the universal symphony. Practice the celebration of calm. As you prepare for rest tonight, acknowledge the profound achievement of each peaceful moment you created today. Close your eyes and feel the quiet applause of the universe in your steady heartbeat. Let each gentle breath become a standing ovation for your choice to maintain harmony. Know that your serenity itself has already succeeded beyond any external measure. Rest in the understanding that peace flowing through you is both the performance and the appreciation, complete within itself. Chapter 15. the law of emotional equinox. In the rolling hills outside a timeless village, a wine merchant struggled to maintain her business through constant emotional storms. Each morning, Silvana awakened either bursting with optimism about the day's potential or crushed by fears of failure. Her mood swung like a pendulum between extremes, leaving her exhausted and her outcomes unpredictable. The ancient wisdom reveals that life responds not to the height of our joy or the depth of our despair, but to the steady pulse of our being. Like a crystal-clear pond that reflects the sky most perfectly when undisturbed, your energy attracts with greatest precision when it maintains equilibrium. Through the universal laws, you discover that balance itself becomes a magnetic force. When you resist the pull toward either extreme, the urge to soar too high or sink too low, you align with the natural order that governs all creation. This middle path, far from being bland or passive, holds remarkable power. In the art of manifestation, consistency proves more potent than intensity. Your thoughts and feelings, when held in steady balance, create a stable foundation from which all desires can grow naturally. Think of the earth's own rhythm. It spins neither faster in joy nor slower in sorrow, but maintains its perfect pace through all seasons. Among the ancient olive groves, Marco tended his trees with unwavering attention. Neither the excitement of abundant seasons nor the disappointment of lean years swayed his dedication. Day after day, he maintained the same careful practices, pruning, watering, and nurturing each tree with steady hands. Over time, he noticed something remarkable. The trees that received his most consistent care, regardless of his mood or the weather, produced the most reliable harvest. The olives from these trees carried a sweetness that spoke of balance, of patient tending through all conditions. This truth mirrors the law of attraction in its purest form. Just as steady sunlight nurtures steady growth, your equilibrium cultivates consistent blessings. When you find the sweet center between extremes, life begins responding with dependable abundance rather than erratic bursts of fortune or misfortune. Sacred practice. As you move through your day, notice when emotions pull you toward either extreme. Whether facing triumph or challenge, pause to find your center. Breathe slowly and evenly, allowing each inhale and exhale to gentle your energy back to balance. Feel the quiet power in neutrality, recognizing it not as absence of feeling, but as presence of mastery. Let this steady state become your natural residence, knowing it holds the key to consistent creation. Chapter 16. The Prayer Without Words. In a small chapel tucked away in an ancient village square, Lydia knelt each morning, her whispered pleas echoing against stone walls. Her prayers flowed like an endless stream of worry, each word carrying the weight of doubt. Though she spoke with devotion, her heart trembled with uncertainty, and her desires seemed to drift further away with each anxious request. The universe responds not to the eloquence of words, but to the resonance of feeling. Your emotions broadcast a constant prayer, reaching far beyond the limits of language. When you understand this truth, you realize that every heartbeat sends ripples through the infinite field of possibility. Your feelings are the true voice of your soul, speaking directly to the intelligence that orchestrates all of creation. Through the eternal laws, you learn that asking comes not through words, but through the silent language of being. The universe does not require elaborate petitions or desperate pleas. It responds with perfect precision to the vibration you maintain. Every emotion you hold becomes a living prayer, attracting circumstances that match its frequency. In the simplest moments, this truth reveals itself with startling clarity. Pasquale, who cleaned the windows of the village shops, discovered this wisdom without seeking it. As he moved from pain to pain, he hummed softly to himself, his heart filled with quiet contentment. He noticed that on days when his joy flowed naturally, the glass seemed to clear itself with remarkable ease, sunlight streaming through with brilliant clarity. The universal law works through this same principle in all aspects of life. Your feeling state becomes your prayer, and the world arranges itself accordingly. When worry accompanies your requests, that very anxiety becomes the substance of your prayer, drawing more situations that justify concern. But when you rest in the feeling of completion, that sense of fulfillment becomes your prayer, attracting circumstances that match your inner peace. Sacred practice. As you move through your day, pause periodically to notice the prayer your emotions are offering. Instead of forming requests with words, allow yourself to sink into the feeling of having received what you desire. Let gratitude become your natural state, not as a practice of asking, but as a celebration of completion. In this way, your very being becomes a living prayer, broadcasting the frequency of fulfillment to the universe. Chapter 17. The Teacher Called Delay. In a sunlit courtyard, Serafina paced restlessly between the ancient stone columns, checking her timepiece with each pass. Her steps echoed her internal rhythm of resistance, a staccato beat of impatience against the measured flow of time. Each morning brought the same struggle, a battle between her desired pace and life's natural timing. At dawn, she would rush to her small shop, arranging displays before the market opened, frustration mounting as she waited for customers to arrive. In quiet moments, when the shop stood empty, anxiety would creep in like morning mist, whispering that stillness meant stagnation. The universe operates on cycles of motion and rest, each playing an essential role in creation. Like the tide that appears to pause before changing direction, these moments of apparent stillness contain powerful forces of transformation. Within every delay lies a sacred alchemy, the invisible work of integration and preparation that must precede manifestation. Consider the wisdom embedded in nature's rhythms. The seed beneath soil doesn't immediately spring forth as a flower. It requires darkness and stillness to gather strength. The butterfly emerges only after the chrysalis has completed its hidden work. These pauses are not empty spaces, but crucibles of creation. Corrado, whose bakery filled the narrow street with aromatic promises each morning, understood this truth through his craft. His hands, once hurried and harsh with dough, learned the art of patience through years of observation. "The magic," he would say, touching the risen dough with reverence, "happens in the waiting." He discovered that rushing the fermentation produced flat, tasteless loaves, while allowing the natural process to unfold yielded bread of extraordinary depth and character. Each batch taught him that time was not his enemy, but his silent partner in creation. When you resist life's natural timing, you create friction against the very forces working in your favor. What appears as delay often serves as an incubation period, a necessary phase where elements align and energies gather. During these times, the universe orchestrates countless unseen details on your behalf. Your task is not to push against these periods of pause, but to recognize them as powerful moments of preparation. Just as a composer knows the value of rest notes in music, learn to appreciate the rhythmic spaces between active manifestation. Practice the cultivation of patience. When life presents you with an apparent pause or delay, close your eyes and visualize your desire as a seed planted in fertile soil. With each breath, imagine invisible roots extending deeper, gathering strength and nutrients. Feel the quiet power of preparation at work beneath the surface. Rather than seeing this time as empty space, recognize it as a period of profound energetic development. Hold this image whenever impatience arises, knowing that what appears as stillness on the surface masks tremendous activity within. Chapter 18. The Art of Relaxed Precision. In the heart of an ancient village where time seemed to flow like honey, lived a young woman named Alessia. Each morning, she would grip her tools with white knuckles, believing that intensity equaled excellence. Her shoulders ached from the constant tension she carried, mistaking strain for dedication. Yet the universe waited patiently to teach her otherwise. The truth whispers to you now as it did to her. Force creates friction, while harmony creates flow. When you release the grip of anxiety, your natural wisdom emerges like a stream finding its course. This releasing is not abandonment, but attunement, not carelessness, but calibration. Your mind, like a finely tuned instrument, operates at its highest capacity when allowed to find its natural cadence. Just as a heart beats without conscious direction, your thoughts arrange themselves most efficiently when not forced through the narrow channels of worry. This is the paradox of mastery. The less you strain, the more precisely you perform. In the narrow streets of the old quarter worked Bruno, whose watchmaking shop had earned renown throughout the region. Those who watched him work often remarked that his movements appeared more like a meditation than labor. Before touching each tiny gear or spring, he would take a single, mindful breath. This simple ritual transformed his workshop into a sanctuary of precision. The watches that emerged from Bruno's careful hands kept perfect time, not because he worried over each second, but because he moved in harmony with time itself. His story teaches that excellence flows from rhythm, not rush. The more he trusted this truth, the more his reputation for excellence grew. This mirrors an eternal principle. When you align with the natural pulse of creation, your actions gain both power and precision. Think of a master musician who no longer counts beats but feels them, or a skilled dancer who has transcended choreography to embody the music itself. Bruno's approach reminds you that every task contains its own perfect timing. His success flowed not from forcing precision, but from finding it in the spaces between breaths. This same wisdom waits within your everyday moments, ready to transform tension into artistry. Practice the rhythm of presence. Choose one activity today that you typically rush through. It might be as simple as preparing a meal or organizing your space. As you begin, consciously slow your movements until you can feel the natural rhythm of the task. Notice how this shift in tempo affects the quality of your attention and the results of your work. Let each action complete itself fully before moving to the next, as if you were creating something precious with each moment. This practice transforms ordinary tasks into opportunities for mastery, teaching your nervous system that ease yields excellence. Chapter 19. The Garden of Evidence. Along a winding path in a secluded valley lived a woman named Cecilia, who carried doubt like a heavy stone. Each morning she would wake with familiar anxieties clouding her vision, questioning whether life truly held her in its caring embrace. Until one quiet dawn, when wisdom beckoned her to look backward instead of forward. The universe operates through perfect memory, recording every instance of grace that has touched your life. Each moment of unexpected rescue, each surprising turn toward blessing, stands as testament to the watchful care surrounding you. When you peer through the lens of remembrance, patterns of protection emerge like constellations in the night sky. Your journey has been marked by countless moments when solutions appeared precisely when needed, though rarely in the form you anticipated. The very fact that you have survived every challenge that once seemed insurmountable offers proof of an intelligence far greater than worry. This evidence lies dormant in your memory until you choose to illuminate it through conscious reflection. In a humble cottage at the edge of town lived Renato, whose gardens flourished with uncommon vitality. While others fretted over their plantings, he simply smiled and watered with a gentle hand. "The seeds remember how to grow," he would say, just as the soil remembers how to nourish. His faith came not from blind hope, but from witnessing countless seasons of renewal. When visitors asked about his secret, Renato would pause from his work and point to the smallest sprout breaking through the earth. "Look here," he would say. "This tiny plant remembers a wisdom older than all our doubts. It doesn't question whether the sun will rise or the rain will fall. It simply grows, trusting what has always been true." The revelation within his garden mirrors the truth within your own life. Just as seeds carry the memory of growth, your spirit carries the memory of grace. Each time you are lifted from difficulty, each surprising turn of fortune, each moment of unexpected peace, these are not isolated incidents but glimpses of an eternal law at work. This universe that tends to seeds tends also to souls with a precision far beyond your conscious planning. When you catalog the evidence of past care, you strengthen your capacity to trust in present support. Every remembered rescue becomes a light illuminating the path ahead. Sacred practice, the remembrance of grace. Find a quiet moment as day turns to dusk. Take 3 deep breaths, allowing your mind to settle like gentle snow. Begin to trace backward through your life's journey, noting each instance where grace appeared unexpectedly. Remember the solutions that arose when no solution seemed possible. Recall the times when worry dissolved into wonder at how perfectly things resolved. Write these memories in your heart like stars, marking your path through darkness. Let each remembered rescue strengthen your trust that the same care continues now. As you catalog these moments of grace, feel the weight of doubt lifting from your shoulders. The evidence of past support becomes your permission to rest in present peace. Let this practice remind you that worry has never been as reliable as the universe's endless capacity to provide. Your only task is to remember, and in remembering, to trust once again. Chapter 20. The Smile of the Universe. In a small coastal village, an old woman sat in her window each morning, wringing her hands over imagined catastrophes. She watched waves crash against rocks, seeing only nature's fury rather than its dance. Her name was Eleonora, and she had spent decades armoring herself against life's perceived harshness, until one morning when everything changed. A seagull landed awkwardly on her windowsill, tumbling head over tail before righting itself with what seemed like an embarrassed shake of its feathers. For the first time in years, Eleonora laughed, a pure, unexpected sound that startled her with its freedom. In that moment, she glimpsed a profound truth. The universe itself possessed a sense of humor. The fundamental law reveals itself through lightness, not weight. When you approach life with rigid seriousness, you construct barriers against its natural flow. Every worried thought creates resistance, while every laugh dissolves it. The universe responds not to your effort, but to your emotional frequency, and joy is the highest vibration of all. Consider how often life's greatest gifts arrive wrapped in apparent mishaps. The missed train that leads to an unexpected encounter. The spilled coffee that creates a moment of shared humanity with a stranger. These are not accidents, but invitations to perceive the playful intelligence weaving through all experience. In a bustling town square, Francesco the juggler understood this truth intuitively. Each evening he would perform with an array of colorful balls, weaving patterns in the air. One night, as the crowd watched intently, he dropped a ball. Instead of tensing or apologizing, Francesco laughed heartily, bowing to the ball as though it had chosen its own path. The audience, expecting embarrassment, found themselves drawn into his joy. They laughed with him, and in that shared moment the performance transformed from a display of skill into a celebration of being human. When Francesco released his need for perfection, he discovered something greater, authentic connection. His willingness to laugh at himself opened hearts more effectively than any flawless routine could have achieved. This simple truth reflects the universe's own preference for lightness over control. The more you align with life's inherent playfulness, the more it reveals its benevolent nature. Worry stems from the misconception that you must maintain constant vigilance against disaster. Yet the universe operates through joy, not judgment. It seeks not to punish, but to play, not to test, but to delight. Practice. Tomorrow, approach your tasks with deliberate playfulness. Add laughter purposely into even minor activities, sorting laundry, washing dishes, answering emails. Notice how this shift in energy creates a corresponding shift in circumstances. Feel how cooperation increases instantly when you release the weight of seriousness. Let each laugh become a signal to the universe that you trust its friendly nature enough to play along with its cosmic dance. Chapter 21. The Rhythm of Confidence. In the heart of an ancient village, a woman named Camilla stood before her mirror each morning, frantically repeating affirmations like prayers against misfortune. Her words tumbled forth in rushed whispers as though racing against invisible doubts. Yet, despite her dedication, her desires seemed to drift further away with each anxious recitation. The sacred truth lies not in the words themselves, but in the tempo of their delivery. Just as a rushing river creates turbulence, hurried affirmations spawn resistance. The universe responds not to the desperation of rapid-fire declarations, but to the steady pulse of unwavering belief. Within you exists a natural rhythm, the beat of creation itself. When your thoughts align with this innate tempo, manifestation flows without effort. Each heartbeat carries the potential for perfect timing, each breath an opportunity to synchronize with universal harmony. Consider how a skilled conductor never rushes the orchestra, but rather holds the space for music to emerge naturally. Your consciousness operates similarly. It requires neither force nor haste, but rather a gentle, consistent rhythm that allows life to unfold in perfect measure. In the town's music hall, Dante sat quietly before his drums. Unlike other performers who attacked their instruments with fierce intensity, he maintained a calm, steady beat that seemed to emerge from silence itself. As he played, something remarkable occurred. The entire orchestra naturally fell into alignment with his rhythm. Without effort or instruction, every instrument found its place within the space he created. Through his artistry, Dante demonstrated a profound principle. When you establish a centered, confident tempo, the world arranges itself around your beat. He never needed to dominate the performance. His steady rhythm provided the foundation that allowed all other elements to find their natural place. The same principle applies to your thoughts and beliefs. When you rush to affirm your desires, you create discord in the very energy meant to manifest them. But when you establish a steady internal rhythm, a calm, confident beat of knowing, the universe naturally orchestrates circumstances to match your tempo. Think of belief as music rather than mathematics. It requires no counting, no rigid repetition, but rather a flowing cadence that feels true to your spirit. Your natural rhythm of certainty carries more power than 1,000 anxious affirmations. Notice how a peaceful stream moves more efficiently than turbulent waters. Your thoughts operate by the same principle. They manifest most powerfully when flowing in smooth, steady currents rather than agitated waves. The universe responds not to the volume of your requests, but to the harmony of your conviction. For today's practice, march gently to your own calm rhythm all day until certainty hums beneath speech. Chapter 22. The Gift of Simplicity. In a remote mountain village, Lucretia spent countless hours arranging crystals, lighting candles, and reciting complex mantras in her quest for spiritual connection. Each morning brought a new ritual, another sacred text to study, one more ceremony to perfect. Yet peace remained elusive, slipping through her fingers like water no matter how elaborate her devotions became. One dawn, as she prepared her usual array of spiritual tools, her hands trembled with exhaustion. In that moment of fatigue, she simply sat down and breathed. To her astonishment, in that unplanned silence, she felt what had eluded her through years of careful ceremony. Pure connection with the infinite. The truth whispers in simplicity. Complex spiritual practices often mask the natural current of universal harmony flowing through every moment. When we strip away the layers of ritual and ceremony, we discover that creation responds most powerfully to sincere presence. The universe does not require elaborate performances to bestow its gifts. It awaits only your authentic attention. Along the coast, Tommaso the fisherman understood this wisdom through experience. While others loaded their boats with multiple nets, sophisticated equipment, and good luck charms, he simply maintained one well-made net with care. Each morning, he would row out in peaceful silence, cast his single net with focused intention, and consistently return with abundant catches that left others in awe. "The fish know truth," he would say with a gentle smile. "They come to clear waters, not churning ones." His simple approach yielded what others' complications could not: direct results born of uncluttered faith. The power of simplicity reveals itself in every realm. When we release the need to complicate our connection with universal forces, we discover that creation already flows in our direction. Like a clear stream finding its natural course, spiritual energy moves most freely through uncomplicated channels. Your relationship with universal forces thrives in simplicity. Strip away the excess and feel how your natural state aligns effortlessly with the flow of life. Trust emerges not from rigid practices but from genuine presence. Just as Tommaso's single well-tended net brought forth abundance, your clear and focused faith attracts direct manifestation. The universe responds not to the complexity of your approach, but to the purity of your trust. Practice. Find one worry-filled habit in your daily life. Rather than building elaborate defenses against it, transform it into a single breath of acceptance. When the familiar concern arises, pause and take one conscious breath, allowing that simple act to replace all complicated mental patterns. In that pure moment of acceptance, feel how natural alignment replaces artificial effort. Part 3. The Living Mind Mantra. Chapter 23. The Mind Mantra Awakens. In a small village among rolling hills, Adriana tended her herb garden each morning, shoulders tense with familiar worries. Day after day, she noticed her plants seemed to mirror her mental state. When anxiety gripped her, the leaves would wilt slightly. Yet on mornings when peace filled her heart, the garden appeared to shimmer with vitality. One dawn, while watering her rosemary, she began repeating a simple thought. All is well. At first, it felt mechanical, empty. But as the sun climbed higher, something shifted. Her breathing deepened naturally. Her shoulders relaxed, and to her amazement, even her digestion seemed to improve. The more she repeated her gentle mantra, the more her body responded. Sleep came easier, tension headaches decreased, and her energy flowed more smoothly. The universal law reveals that thought patterns, when consistently maintained, create corresponding patterns in our physical form. Every cell responds to the frequency of our mental state. What begins as conscious repetition gradually transforms into natural rhythm, like water wearing smooth paths through stone. In the quietude of sustained practice, worry's grip loosens as new neural pathways form. The mind, like a garden, grows what we consistently plant. When peaceful thoughts take root through gentle repetition, the body follows in perfect harmony, reorganizing itself around this new frequency of calm. In a busy bakery across town, Fabio discovered this truth through his own practice. Each morning as he kneaded dough, he hummed the same melodic tune, a simple song his grandmother once sang. At first he hummed to pass the time, but soon noticed something remarkable. Customers would enter hurried and tense, yet within moments their faces would soften, shoulders would relax, and smiles would appear. The consistent vibration of his humming had transformed the very atmosphere of his shop into a sanctuary of peace. His story illuminates how sustained frequency shapes reality. Just as his gentle humming created an oasis of calm that touched all who entered, your consistent, peaceful thoughts radiate outward, transforming both your internal landscape and the world around you. The power lies not in complexity, but in loving repetition. Like drops of water filling a vessel, each peaceful thought adds to the reservoir of calm within you until it overflows naturally into every aspect of your life. Practice. Select a simple phrase that resonates with peace, perhaps "all flows with ease" or "I trust life's rhythm." Let this phrase circle gently through your mind as you go about your day. Don't force it. Allow it to float like a leaf on a stream, returning to it whenever you remember. Notice how your body responds as this new frequency becomes your natural song. Chapter 24. The Sacred Ordinary. In a small village among rolling hills, Julia spent years searching for spiritual enlightenment. She traveled to distant monasteries, attended countless workshops, and sought wisdom from renowned teachers. Yet transformation awaited her in the most unexpected place, her own kitchen sink. One evening, as sunlight painted golden patterns through her window, Julia stood washing dishes. Rather than rushing through the task while planning her next spiritual pursuit, she noticed her hands moving through the warm water. The simple circular motion of cleaning each plate became a meditation. The sound of running water transformed into nature's music. In that moment she realized the profound truth. Divinity flows through every mundane act when approached with sacred attention. The mind mantra requires no complex formulas or esoteric knowledge. It emerges naturally when you infuse ordinary moments with extraordinary presence. Each breath, each movement, each simple task contains the potential for spiritual communion. The universe speaks not only through grand revelations, but through quiet moments of mindful connection. This truth manifested beautifully through Lorenzo, who swept the village streets each morning. While others saw him as just a street sweeper, Lorenzo had discovered the secret rhythm of the universe in his daily work. Each sweep of his broom became a blessing upon the earth. Each gathering of leaves became an offering of service. He moved with such grace that passing children would stop to watch, sensing something magical in his ordinary task. The teaching reveals that spirituality needs no special time or place. It flows naturally when we bring our full presence to whatever lies before us. The mind mantra emerges not from memorized words, but from the heart's complete attention to the present moment. When we infuse simple acts with awareness, they become bridges to the divine. Through Lorenzo's story, we see that true spiritual practice transforms not the task, but the consciousness we bring to it. His sweeping transcended mere cleaning to become a moving meditation, a dance with the universe itself. The streets he tended gleamed with an inner light that came not from the physical act, but from the love and presence he poured into his work. Practice. Choose one routine activity you normally rush through or perform mechanically. It might be making your bed, preparing breakfast, or walking to work. Approach this task as if the universe itself watches with loving attention. Feel the weight and texture of objects in your hands. Notice the sounds and sensations that arise. Let each movement flow with deliberate grace. Through this practice, discover how the ordinary transforms into the sacred through the simple power of presence. Chapter 25. The Bridge of Forgiveness. In an ancient village among rolling hills, Delphina walked the winding streets each morning carrying a weight heavier than her market basket. Her shoulders bent not from physical burdens but from the invisible chains of guilt that wrapped around her spirit. Each step echoed with whispered self-accusations, each breath drawn through the filter of past regrets. Like many who bear such burdens, Delphina believed her constant state of worry served as penance for mistakes real and imagined. She held tight to her guilt as if it were a shield, believing that suffering somehow balanced the scales of her perceived wrongs. Yet this burden only created more shadows, casting darkness over every joy that attempted to touch her life. The universe speaks in patterns, and the law that governs all existence knows no judgment. It knows only vibration. When you hold guilt within your heart, you broadcast a frequency of unworthiness that draws more experiences to validate that feeling. This is not punishment, but simply the precise mirror of creation reflecting back what you hold within. Consider how worry born of guilt differs from worry born of external circumstances. The former carries a particular poison, for it convinces you that you deserve less than life's full blessings. It whispers that you must remain vigilant in your suffering, that peace would somehow be a betrayal of proper remorse. Yet the universal truth remains. Forgiveness is not merely an emotional release, it is a vital force that dissolves the static interference between you and your natural state of grace. When you forgive yourself, you clear the channel through which all good flows. You restore your divine birthright to receive life's abundance. Massimo, a builder in a mountain village, discovered this truth through his hands. For years, he carried the memory of a bridge he had built that later failed during a storm. Though no one was hurt, the guilt haunted his work until his hands shook with each nail he drove. One day, while repairing that same bridge, he realized each board he replaced was also mending something within himself. With every plank secured, he forgave his younger self for not knowing then what he knew now. As his self-forgiveness grew, his work flowed with new precision and grace. The bridge became stronger than ever, and so did he. This simple truth explains why forgiveness holds such power. It reconnects us to the natural flow of life. Like a stream long blocked by fallen debris, when you clear away the dam of guilt, energy moves freely once again. You need not earn this flow. It is your natural state, waiting patiently behind the barriers you have built. Sacred practice. Find a quiet moment and place your hands over your heart. Breathe deeply and say to yourself, I release all guilt and grant myself complete pardon. Feel the mental atmosphere clearing with each breath, like storm clouds parting to reveal pristine sky. Chapter 26. The Glow of Appreciation. In a small coastal village, where waves whispered ancient wisdom to those who listened, Luciano spent his days questioning why fortune seemed to favor some while bypassing others. Each morning he would walk along the shore, counting his misfortunes rather than his blessings, wondering why the universe appeared so selective in its generosity. Through seasons of contemplation, he observed how the tides brought treasures to some beachcombers, while leaving others empty-handed. Yet something shifted within him one dawn, when he witnessed an elderly woman gathering shells. With each discovery, she offered a quiet word of thanks, regardless of whether she found a pristine specimen or a broken fragment. To his amazement, the most extraordinary shells seemed to appear precisely where she walked. The universe operates through an eternal law of recognition. What you acknowledge multiplies. What you appreciate appreciates. This principle reveals itself through the simple act of blessing, the conscious recognition of good already present in your life. Like a mirror reflecting light, your appreciation returns to you magnified. Consider how a garden responds to attention. The flowers you notice tend to and appreciate bloom more abundantly than those left unacknowledged. Your consciousness works in the same way. The experiences you bless with your attention naturally expand and multiply. In the heart of a bustling market square, Elda ran a modest inn that travelers spoke of with unusual warmth. Her secret lay not in luxurious furnishings or elaborate services, but in the blessing she silently offered each guest who crossed her threshold. "May peace find you here," she would think, watching them enter. "May rest restore your spirit." As weeks turned to months and months to years, her simple inn prospered beyond explanation. Travelers would return again and again, drawn by an inexplicable sense of well-being that permeated the space. What they felt, without knowing, was the accumulated power of countless blessings, each one adding another layer of grace to the atmosphere. This story illuminates a profound truth. Blessing is not merely a spiritual courtesy, but a practical tool for transformation. When you bless your circumstances, you activate a law of increase. Each blessing becomes a seed planted in the fertile soil of universal consciousness, growing into unexpected harvests of good. Before sleep claims your thoughts tonight, gather the moments that brought light to your day. Name them quietly, one by one, as though stringing pearls of gratitude. Let thankfulness be your lullaby, knowing that what you bless before sleep plants seeds of greater good in tomorrow's garden. The practice. Create a nightly ritual of appreciation. As you prepare for rest, recall 3 moments from your day that sparked joy, comfort, or peace. Name them specifically, blessing each one with your conscious recognition. Feel the warmth of gratitude spreading through your body as you drift into sleep, knowing that appreciation is already multiplying tomorrow's blessings. Chapter 27. The Ease of Alignment. In a small mountain village, Narina spent her days caught between 2 voices. The first was her analytical mind, meticulously weighing every option, creating endless lists of pros and cons. The second was a gentle whisper that seemed to arise from nowhere, offering clear direction without explanation. Each morning she would wake torn between these competing guides, exhausted from their constant battle. One autumn day, while walking through the village square, she witnessed an old woman feeding pigeons. The birds knew exactly which seeds to pick and which to leave, moving with natural grace. In that moment, Narina realized she had been forcing herself to choose between mind and heart, when both were meant to work in harmony. The universe operates through perfect balance, where logic and intuition flow as one stream. When you attempt to separate them, you create resistance that manifests as internal conflict. True guidance arrives not as a war between thought and feeling, but as a peaceful knowing that satisfies both. Consider how a leaf knows exactly when to release from its branch. It doesn't analyze the wind patterns or calculate the optimal moment. It simply lets go when the time is right. This natural wisdom exists within you, speaking through the language of peace. In the village lived Patrizio, known for his gift with pianos. Other tuners would measure and adjust with technical precision, but Patrizio worked differently. He would sit quietly, letting his hands rest lightly on the keys, waiting for that moment when the note felt right. His clients said his pianos produced music that touched the soul. One day, a wealthy customer demanded to know his exact method. Patrizio smiled and said, "I listen for the silence between the notes. When there is no friction between what is and what should be, I know the piano has found its true voice. His story illuminates a profound truth. Alignment feels like the absence of struggle. When intuition and logic merge, there is no internal argument, only a quiet certainty that requires no defense. This ancient wisdom teaches that peace is not just the result of right action. It is the compass that points toward it. When you feel mental tension, it signals that you're trying to force what should flow naturally. True intuition never creates anxiety. It arrives with the lightness of a feather landing on still water. Practice. As this day unfolds, notice each choice before you. Rather than wrestling between options, pause and feel for the path that brings immediate peace. Don't analyze why it feels right. Simply trust that ease is your compass. Let decisions arise naturally, like notes finding their perfect pitch. When you encounter resistance, stop and wait for that internal settlement that signals alignment. Remember, the wisest choice is the one that feels like coming home to yourself. Chapter 28. The Currency of Joy. In the bustling marketplace of a small village, Fiorenza opened her shop each morning with trembling hands, counting coins and fretting over expenses. Her shelves held beautiful hand-woven textiles, yet worry lined her face as she calculated costs against dwindling sales. Each transaction became a battle against fear, her anxiety creating an invisible barrier between herself and potential customers. Then one morning, while arranging her wares, she noticed a child delighting in the colors of her fabrics. The pure joy in the child's eyes sparked something within her, a remembrance of why she began weaving in the first place. That day, instead of counting losses, she began sharing stories of each pattern's inspiration. Her eyes lit up as she spoke of sunset-colored threads and moonlight-inspired designs. To her amazement, customers lingered longer, drawn not by prices but by her authentic enthusiasm. The ancient law whispers that abundance flows through channels of delight. When fear grips the heart, it constricts not only emotions, but the very pathways through which prosperity travels. Joy, however, opens these channels wide, inviting wealth to flow naturally and abundantly. Consider Giuseppe, whose fruit stand sat at the corner of the town square. While other vendors shouted prices and bargained tensely, Giuseppe sang as he arranged his oranges in perfect spirals. He juggled apples to make children laugh and shared stories of the orchards where his fruit grew. His stand became known not just for its produce, but for the atmosphere of pleasure that surrounded it. Customers returned not only for his fruit, but for the experience of joy he offered freely. Where others saw scarcity, Giuseppe created abundance through his vibration of delight. His prosperity grew not from careful calculation, but from genuine pleasure in his work. The coins that filled his apron were simply a natural reflection of the joy he circulated so freely. The universe responds not to desperate grasping, but to open-handed pleasure. When you release the grip of scarcity consciousness and embrace the natural delight of being, you align with abundance's true frequency. Every moment of genuine joy becomes a magnetic force, attracting more reasons for celebration. The truth shimmers clear. Wealth follows well-being. When you cultivate happiness for its own pure sake, prosperity finds its way to your door as naturally as butterflies to flowers. This is not merely positive thinking, but vibrational science, as real as gravity, yet as light as laughter. Sacred practice. Begin each morning by finding one small detail that brings genuine delight, perhaps the way sunlight plays on your wall or the aroma of your morning tea. Let this pleasure fill you completely, without thought of reward. Continue this practice throughout your day, collecting moments of joy like precious gems. Watch how this shift in vibration begins to transform your relationship with abundance. The universe delights in your delight, and through this loving law, prosperity flows most freely through hearts that sing. Chapter 29. The Voice of the Heart. In a small mountain village, Marcella spent her days analyzing every decision through the lens of worry. She believed her constant mental churning demonstrated deep care for her loved ones. Each morning began with an exhausting inventory of potential problems, her mind racing to anticipate and prevent invisible disasters. Her shoulders carried the weight of unspoken fears, believing that if she stopped worrying, misfortune would surely follow. One autumn morning, as she watched leaves float gently to the ground, something shifted. The leaves didn't struggle or force their descent. They simply allowed the wind to guide them. In that moment, she recognized how her perpetual worry created resistance to life's natural flow. The truth emerged. Genuine care flows from a place of serenity, not anxiety. Just as a clear stream reflects the sky more perfectly than troubled waters, wisdom surfaces when the mind grows still. Worry distorts intuition's pure signal, like static drowning out a gentle melody. In the village schoolhouse, Raimondo taught his students through presence rather than pressure. When faced with a challenging question, he would pause, allowing silence to fill the room. In these quiet moments, understanding would blossom naturally. His students learned more from his peaceful pauses than from any rushed explanation. The heart's intelligence speaks in whispers, not shouts. Its guidance arrives as subtle knowing, free from the noise of endless analysis. Like moonlight on still water, truth reflects most clearly in tranquility. When we release the need to figure everything out, we create space for innate wisdom to emerge. Consider how nature operates without worry. Flowers bloom, rivers flow, and birds soar without mental rehearsal. This same intelligence flows through you, requiring only your quiet attention to be heard. True intuition feels like a gentle nudge, a soft certainty that needs no justification. The heart communicates through peace because peace is its natural state. Just as you don't need to force yourself to digest food or make your heart beat, you don't need to force understanding through worry. Wisdom arrives naturally when you allow it space to surface. Practice. Find a quiet moment and place your hand over your heart. Breathe slowly and deeply, letting each breath carry away the noise of analysis. Notice how wisdom feels different from worry. Lighter, clearer, more peaceful. Throughout your day, pause whenever anxiety rises and listen beneath the mental chatter. Let affection's gentle voice become your compass, guiding you with its quiet clarity. Trust that the softest whisper of your heart speaks greater truth than the loudest worries of your mind. Chapter 30. The Sanctuary of the Present. In a small village by the sea, Adelio sat surrounded by photographs of past ventures, his mind heavy with regret. Each morning he would study these images, reliving old choices, while simultaneously constructing elaborate defenses against future disappointments. His days became a bridge, suspended between what was and what might be. never touching the solid ground of now. The weight of this temporal tension followed him everywhere until one morning, as waves crashed against the shore, he noticed something profound. The sea neither regretted its previous waves nor worried about future ones. Each surge simply expressed itself fully in its moment of being. The universe operates in the eternal now. This timeless law reveals that manifestation knows only one tense, the present. The past exists as memory, the future as imagination, but power flows exclusively through the present moment. When you release your grip on what was and loosen your anxiety about what may be, you enter the only space where transformation is possible. In her small shop near the town square, Nadia discovered this truth through flowers. For years, she had meticulously planned each arrangement, sketching designs the night before, worrying about perfection. Her work was beautiful but mechanical, lacking the spark of life that draws people to natural beauty. One morning, when her delivery arrived late and a wedding order awaited, she had no time for planning. Standing before her flowers, hands empty of preconceptions, she simply began. Something magical happened. Her fingers found their own wisdom. Colors danced together in ways her mind would never have planned. The arrangement she created that day brought tears to the bride's eyes. From then on, Nadia abandoned her sketches. She learned to trust the intelligence of the present moment, allowing inspiration to flow through her unimpeded by past patterns or future fears. Her shop became known not just for beautiful arrangements, but for flowers that seemed to carry messages of aliveness, speaking directly to the heart. This simple shift, from planning to presence, transformed not only her work but her entire life. She noticed that when she stayed in the now, solutions appeared naturally, creativity flowed effortlessly, and worry dissolved in the light of immediate experience. Your past holds wisdom, but living there breeds regret. Your future deserves preparation, but dwelling there generates anxiety. The present moment alone contains the power to transform your life. It is the only point where the universe can reach you with its gifts. Practice the present moment immersion. Find a quiet space and bring your attention fully into this moment. Begin with your sense of touch. Feel the texture of your clothing, the pressure of gravity, the temperature of the air against your skin. Move to sound. Notice the nearest and farthest sounds reaching your ears. Observe scents in the air, the taste in your mouth. Finally, open your eyes and truly see what's before you, as if for the first time. Remain here in the fullness of now, letting each sense anchor you to this moment. Notice how serenity naturally fills the space that worry once occupied. This is your true home, the eternal now where all power resides. Chapter 31. The Compass of Serenity. In a small coastal village where waves whispered ancient secrets to those who listened, Albina spent her days searching for signs. She consulted oracles, read tea leaves, and tracked planetary movements, believing external indicators would illuminate her path. Each morning brought a new ritual, a desperate reaching for certainty in the chaos of possibilities. Through endless seeking, exhaustion settled into her bones until one wind-swept dawn when everything changed. As she sat at her window, too tired to consult her usual omens, a profound stillness descended. In that moment of surrender, clarity arose not from external signs, but from within, a gentle knowing that required no validation. The universe speaks through peace. When your heart rests in quiet certainty, you have found your answer. Signs and symbols may confirm what you already know, but the deepest guidance emerges from the still waters of your own consciousness. Paolo, who navigated his fishing vessel through Mediterranean waters, understood this truth intimately. Though well-versed in reading charts and mapping constellations, he discovered his surest navigation came through feeling. On nights when stars hid behind clouds and instruments failed, Paolo would close his eyes and attune to an inner compass that never led him astray. His fellow sailors marveled at his ability to find safe harbor in storms, unaware that he followed not external markers, but the steady pulse of peace within. The law reveals that certainty needs no proof beyond its own serenity. When a choice aligns with your highest good, it carries the signature of calm. Anxiety and doubt may cloud the waters of decision, but they cannot alter the truth that peace points perpetually toward your proper course. Notice how your body responds to alignment, the subtle release of tension, the quiet exhale of recognition. This is your internal navigation system, more sophisticated than any external guidance could provide. It requires no validation beyond its own certainty. Paolo's story reminds us that even in apparent darkness, clarity awaits within. His ability to find harbor arose not from struggling against uncertainty, but from trusting the peaceful knowing that transcends rational analysis. When questions arise about your direction, remember that serenity itself is your compass. The path that brings your heart to rest is the path that leads you home. Practice. In moments of uncertainty, pause and consider each option before you. Rather than analyzing endlessly, feel the weight of each choice in your heart. Select the path that feels lightest, most peaceful. Then rest in that decision, allowing serenity to confirm your course. Your inner compass aligns naturally with grace when you trust its quiet pointing toward peace. Chapter 32. The Golden Pause. In a small village perched among rolling hills, Rosalba stood each morning before her decisions like a traveler at a crossroads. Her mind raced between possibilities, each choice seeming to hold either disaster or deliverance. Yet, time after time, she noticed that her hurried judgments led her astray, while moments of sacred pause unveiled wisdom's whispers. In the art of chocolate making, Giovanni had discovered this truth years before. His shop, fragrant with cocoa and wisdom, held the secret of divine timing. As customers watched him work, they witnessed his ritual of stillness between each step. When pouring molten chocolate, he would pause, allowing the perfect temperature to arise naturally. Those who rushed their chocolate found it brittle or dull, but Giovanni's creations shimmered with a flawless finish born of patience. The universal law reveals that judgment rushed through fear creates resistance, while discernment born of stillness aligns with natural order. When you stand at the threshold of choice, remember that the space between thoughts holds more power than the thoughts themselves. This sacred pause is not hesitation born of fear, but rather a moment of communion with infinite intelligence. Like a pond disturbed by pebbles must settle to reflect the sky clearly, your mind requires moments of stillness to reflect truth accurately. Each time Rosalba learned to pause before reacting, she found her path illuminated by clarity rather than clouded by haste. She discovered that what appeared as delays were actually divine alignments, orchestrating outcomes far beyond her limited vision. In Giovanni's chocolate shop, customers learned to appreciate the artistry of waiting. They watched as he stood in serene attention, sensing the exact moment when each batch reached perfection. His presence taught more than chocolate making. It demonstrated how stillness itself becomes a form of mastery. The universe operates in refined rhythms, each unfolding in its perfect sequence. When you rush to judge or act from anxiety, you interrupt this natural orchestration. But in choosing to pause with awareness, you allow yourself to harmonize with the cosmic choreography already in motion. Sacred practice. Sit quietly for 3 breaths whenever urgency arises. Place one hand over your heart and imagine golden light filling the space between thoughts. Let this light dissolve any pressure to react immediately. Trust that in this pause, wisdom gathers like honey in a hive, sweet with certainty. This practice transforms hesitation from weakness into the strength of conscious choosing. Chapter 33. The End of Worry. High in the mountains, where mist clung to ancient stone walls, Karina spent her days watching weather patterns and worrying about her harvest. Each looming cloud sparked calculations of potential disaster, her mind racing ahead to envision ruined crops and empty stores. Yet through years of this ceaseless vigilance, she noticed something peculiar. The worst damages always came not from the storms themselves, but from her frantic preparations against them. One morning, as thunder rolled across the valley, she sat quietly instead of rushing to shield her garden. In that moment of surrender, she witnessed how the rain fed her soil with perfect measure, how the wind carried seeds to exactly where they needed to root. Nothing had ever gone wrong except her resistance to nature's rhythm. The truth reveals itself with elegant simplicity. Peace is not the absence of storms, but participation in divine order. Your alignment with universal flow requires no defense, only acceptance. When you cease battling what appears as threat, you discover the hidden harmony orchestrating all circumstances. In a small village by the sea, Stefano tends his gardens with unusual serenity. While others frantically cover their plants at the first hint of darkness, he simply smiles at approaching clouds. "Watch," he says to worried neighbors, "how the storm knows exactly what the earth needs." Year after year, his yields flourish beyond explanation, his soil growing richer with each tempest he welcomes. Through his weathered hands and laughing eyes, Stefano demonstrates the profound truth. Life has always been on your side. Every apparent setback carries secret nourishment. Each delay holds hidden preparation. The universe operates with an intelligence far beyond our anxious calculations. Consider how often your worst fears proved themselves imaginary, while unexpected blessings arrived through the very circumstances you dreaded. Your resistance to life's natural unfolding has been the only true obstacle. In dropping your defensive stance against reality, you allow grace to flow unimpeded through your experiences. Practice. Each morning upon waking, before thought begins its familiar worried dance, declare silently but firmly that you withdraw all permission from anxiety. State clearly to the universe that you release your habit of resistance, allowing grace to do its uninterrupted work. Feel how this declaration lightens your entire being, making space for life's infinite intelligence to guide you perfectly. If you enjoyed this audiobook, I created a free ebook version for you. You can download it using the link in the pinned comment. Conclusion. In the depths of every heart lies an ancient knowing that has patiently awaited rediscovery. Through these chapters, a profound truth has emerged. Worry was never protection, but merely interference with the natural order of abundance. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, has always known your path. Like the morning sun dissolving mist, understanding now breaks through the haze of anxiety. Every parable shared, every wisdom unveiled, points to one crystalline truth. Your natural state is peace. Worry was a learned response, not an inherent necessity. In its absence, the mind finds its true purpose, not as sentinel against imagined dangers, but as an instrument of creative force. Consider how a lake reflects the sky perfectly only when its surface is undisturbed. Similarly, your consciousness mirrors the universe's abundance most clearly when free from the ripples of concern. This is not mere philosophy, but practical physics of consciousness. The law of attraction responds not to what you think, but to your vibrational state of being. The mind mantra teaches that serenity is not achieved, it is allowed. It emerges naturally when you cease resisting what is. Like a stream finding its course, life flows more elegantly without the obstacles of fear. Your role is not to direct the current, but to float upon it with trust. Through these teachings, you have discovered that peace is not passive, but powerfully magnetic. It draws to you that which worry could never reach. The universe's response to your calm is inevitable. It must match your frequency of trust with corresponding circumstances. Remember, you were born into a supportive universe. Its very nature is to nurture your dreams when you align with its rhythm of ease. Worry was only a temporary deviation from this truth. Now you return to your natural state, serene, certain, and surrounded by grace.
If you enjoyed this exclusive audiobook, I handpicked this next book which will change your life.